Discontent, dissatisfied, disenchanted with the Christian life? Maybe. Unhappy, underwhelmed, unenthused for another day missing joy, even with God by your side. I want to help shift your perspective. I want to bring something to the table in hopes to help you. First, we have to start with certain misleading teachings that might stir in certain Christian circles. One thing I see all the time, but I also think is unfortunate, is this: something invisible happened in our vocabulary. Something problematic as a result of some different factors. It starts with one little offensive word. I, or me. Offensive, why? Because I'm about to tell you need to hear less of it. Journey with me for a second. One cultural oversight that seems to exist with Christians too is that we live in a highly individualized society. See, ever since the birth of our country, everything's been predicated on this. Not all bad, of course, but have we gone too far? From family to career, towards I, not we, seeing others to seeing myself and my future and my dreams, perfect place to live, pursuing that job, a just right salary, favorite sports team plays here, and by the way, perfect weather too. Trust me, it stings for me too. And I want to be clear, these things have no inherent negative value. So if you feel guilty easily, like me, just hold your horses. Enjoy God's blessing, but enjoy them rightly. Goods, not God's. It's just a thing, not everything. Oh, but what about overconsumption? Everything America shouts so loudly at you? You need more, more, more. Look, this will serve you. Look at what this will give you. Find your perfect body, your dream car, your dream house. Did you notice how many times I said you or your? Now, what does the church do? This can be troubling. Not how does God want you to live for Him, but how does God live for me? In my problems, struggles, circumstances, how can God make my life better, my marriage better, my finances better, my family better, my stress better, my conflict better, my goals better? But right, it's way more subtle than that. But listen, how many new series do you see from church like this? It's a lot. I want to strike a good balance here, because I do have parts of my background that were pretty opposite to this, kind of like to the point where if you're considering yourself, you're already sinning. No, we have needs. But now, can I tell you that oftentimes what's best for us is actually a reorienting of our desires. Not what do I want, but what do you want for me? And oh yeah, that's actually going to give you total joy anyway. Not abundance, sometimes less. Not ease, sometimes suffering. Well, actually always suffering. We can talk about this another time, but Christians are always supposed to suffer. This is a good transition point, because the cause for joy, the source for happiness, it's counterintuitive. The freedom and peace that you may find for a moment in what you want is far more long-lasting in everything He wants for you. Guess what that is? Sacrifice, love, laying it all down. Tim Keller calls it beautifully the freedom of self-forgetfulness. I hope to implore you, joy is not an I, but in we. Joy is when you say you, not me. Begin to notice it. Become perceptive. Switch churches if you have to. Forsake the American ideology. Not more clothes and technology and leisure. Forsake the American church ideology. Not a better marriage, not better kids, not better calm, a better heart. More selfless and perceptive and giving. You don't want God to give you everything you want. You know why? You'd be miserable. Because often what you want is so counter to what you think you want and to what you actually need. This is why God has to conform our desires, transform our desires. That theological term is called sanctification, growth in godliness and holiness. That everything He says becomes precious to you, even when it makes you uncomfortable, even when it sounds crazy or hard, even when He says, die, and then you'll truly know life. Forget yourself. Think about others. It's probably the hardest thing for us to ever do. Everything natural in us says to look more here, here, here. I know this all too well. Don't think I'm any less guilty of this than anyone. It's to love, not expecting anything in return. To give, because you know you've been given everything. Jesus himself. Lay your life down like Christ did and laid his life down for us. Go with this. I pray you can go with this charge. If you know discontentment all too well. If you struggle to rejoice always, as seems your Christian duty, according to Paul. If you're unhappy, unenthused, even bored in your Christian life, come back to service, come back to him, come back to loving with your life, giving with your heart, to love others, to make him known. His grace supplies it every time. Every time.